the decarbonization economy. And I'm hearing anything between 40 trillion and 275 trillion. But you've always said that it's the largest business opportunity that most people in the real estate industry have. And I just wanted to have you take some time and just expand on that thought, if you wouldn't mind, and any other thoughts that you might have on the topic.
No, thank you. Thank you, Aaron. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you as we really are beginning to decarbonize the economy, which again, I concur 100% with what you just said in terms of how I characterize it. I believe it is the greatest business opportunity ever yet unrealized. Decarbonizing our economy is just unbelievable in terms of opportunity for our planet, for people, and it's okay if everybody makes a nickel along the way. You know, it's you threw a couple numbers out, and they're all correct. I've seen them all used. But what I'd say is there are a couple numbers that I focus on when I talk to the folks that we have an opportunity to work with. And I should say, by way of just sort of taking a step back for a minute, I appreciate the kind introduction. And I am basically an environmental attorney who is focused on the environmental side of real estate now for just over 38 years, approaching my 39th year of doing this. And in all of the environmental work that I've done, I've never had an opportunity like the opportunity that comes along with decarbonizing the economy. We represent a lot of folks. We're based in Maryland and have been for years. We've had offices over the years across the country. We do work now across the country, and as Aaron also said, increasingly across the globe, because this is truly a global opportunity. So I look at this from the perspective of an environmental attorney who's been involved in commercial real estate, and where I know so many of the folks that Aaron talks to tend to be tenants in commercial buildings. It just fits perfectly. It literally couldn't be a better hand in glove kind of opportunity. So let me talk about what that opportunity is, and let's talk about those numbers for a minute, because Aaron threw some numbers out and he's dead on correct. It all depends what you're looking at in terms of how this is valued. But let's not go with what Aaron said. Let's not even go with what I said. Let's look at what Goldman Sachs. I happened to be on a panel a couple weeks ago, virtually, and the CEO of Goldman Sachs was on the panel. This is actually in August, and he characterized the decarbonizing of the economy as a $7 trillion opportunity. That's 7 trillion with a T. Mm-hmm. That's just an unbelievable number, you know, and if we all make a nickel, you know, along the way, I mean, it is sort of crazy. The other number that I think is authoritative in looking at this, the number that was actually on Aaron's flyer, this $40 trillion number, is interestingly enough a number that came out of the UN's greenhouse gas conference in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt last year. The number that they put on decarbonizing, the value of decarbonizing worldwide, was this $40 trillion number. You know, all of these numbers are so big or so huge, it's very difficult to wrap your arm around some of these, and they're all looking at different things. But here's the way I look at it. I personally, you know, a zero here or a zero there doesn't matter to my clients and doesn't matter to me when we're in those crazy numbers of zeros. But here's the way we look at it. We look at much of this opportunity is tied to utilities. And when we look at the raw numbers associated with utilities, the utility markets in the United States have a $6 trillion a year annual. So that's an annual $6 trillion annually. That's over 6% of GDP. And if you actually look at it globally and you start extrapolating, again, the raw numbers aren't important, but it becomes actually something more like 8% of GDP worldwide. But let's just stick in the United States for a minute. If we're talking about something today that's 6% of GDP, it's big. So I'm going to move from the numbers to talking about some of the specifics. I hope I've given you just the sense of how sort of huge this topic is. I mean, it's rare that I get to talk about trillions with a T, and that's what we're literally talking about.